This tutorial will cover how to solve for variables and expressions. The first thing you must learn is what exactly is an expression. Well, an expression has three things. The first thing it must have is some sort of number. There must also be an operation such as adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. The last thing an expression must have is some sort of variable. A variable is usually seen in the place of a letter. Now, a variable is often used when you are trying to figure out some sort of problem in which you're solving for an unknown number. For example, let's take a look at a question. The question is, John is 2 inches taller than Mike. How tall would John be if Mike were 60 inches tall? Well, we could use an expression to solve for this problem. The expression would be is that we know that John is 2 inches taller than Mike. So we don't exactly know, per se, how many inches tall that Mike is. So Mike would be represented by an x. We know that John is 2 inches taller, so we would use an addition plus 2 to be able to solve. Well, this problem says that Mike is 60 inches tall. So in this case, x equals 60. We can put 60 in the place of x to figure out how tall John is in comparison to Mike. So 60 plus 2 is 62. We know that if Mike were 60 inches tall, then John would have to be 62 inches tall. There are common ways to represent some expressions using different operations. In addition, you could do a problem such as 2 plus x or x plus 2. We know that by using the commutative property of addition, that both of those would be considered correct. In subtraction, you could put an expression such as 2 minus x, or you could do an expression such as x minus 2. However, you wouldn't get the same sort of operation because those are not reversible in subtraction. In multiplication, you can usually find examples of multiplying when you're doing 2 times x. But to make it more simple, oftentimes you'll see that mathematicians just use 2x to represent multiplication. In division, you will also see different expressions as 2 divided by x. And another common way to represent that is putting a fraction in the form of 2 being your numerator and x being your denominator. Let's solve a few more problems. Let's say the operation is just going to be as simple for x. And we know that x is going to represent 3. Well, using from our knowledge from our previous slide, we know that what is going on here is multiplication. So 4x is actually going to be 4 times x. Well, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this 3 and substitute it in the place of x. Now our expression reads 4 times 3, which is going to give us an answer of 12. Moving on to another problem, we could also do some sort of division problem, which would be represented by 20 over x, whereas x equals 4. Well, to solve for this problem, we would just rewrite our equation, put 4 in the place of x, and now it would become 20 divided by 4, which equals 5. Let's try one last problem. Making our equation just a little bit more difficult, I might decide to have an expression that looks like this. 3x plus 2, whereas x equals 8. Well, once again, this 8 will go in the place of x. 3x together is a multiplication problem, so we're going to be doing 3 times 8, and then adding 2 to that answer. So I know 3 plus 8, or times 8, is 24, and 24 plus 2 gives us an answer of 26. I hope that you have learned a lot about expressions and variables and can now do some problems by yourself. Please give the following problems a try. Excellent. This is a multiplication problem, so we would be putting 2 in the place of x, which would be equaling 5 being multiplied by 2. That equals 10. Let's try one last problem. Good. In this one, we would put the 6 in the place for x. Oh, excuse me. Let's make this a 60. And 60 divided by 6 equals 10. Thank you for listening to this tutorial.